As an artist, one of the sometimes scariest but important things that you need to do in order to demonstrate your skills for a variety of purposes is put together a portfolio. I remember in high school, I had to put together a portfolio. I thought I was going to be a journalist, and I had to put together a portfolio to demonstrate to the university that I was applying to what my writing skills were. I know another person who was applying to a college program for design and had to put together a portfolio of their creative works. For anyone in art, putting together a portfolio is demonstrating your style. This could be put together for a number of reasons. And so as an artist in this class, you are putting together a portfolio to demonstrate not only your writing, but putting it together for the purposes of demonstrating what you've learned. So I just found this quick little website about how to create a portfolio and what often writers' portfolios can look like. So if you are a writer and wanted to put together a portfolio, the purpose is for you to get jobs or for people to buy your work and for them to sample to see who you are and why they would want to invest more in your work. So in addition to the purpose as to why you're creating a portfolio, in this case, is to show your teacher, your instructor, what you've learned throughout the course. And one of the important pieces that you're going to have to do is choose what to include in your portfolio. So that's just a little bit of background as to what exactly this activity is asking you to do. So let's look at Unit 6, Activity 1. What should you include in your portfolio? Unfortunately, at this time, because I've condensed this class and cut and paste a number of different components, I don't have an exemplar to show you. The finished product for any student not in an octomester looks completely different. So unfortunately, I don't have time to create one of my own to create as an exemplar. So I'm simply going to go through and hopefully explain and articulate what is expected to be within your portfolio. First, we're going to talk about what goes in it. The second thing we're going to talk about is what it can look like. So let's go through these bulleted points right here. Number 1, you should put together a portfolio that has one sample from each unit. So that will be one of your short stories, one poem, and there's only Unit 5, Activity 1, which would be your nonfiction. Because it was coming at the end and the tail end of the course, if you are unable to create a nonfiction sample in time for this portfolio, because I realize time is of the essence, that you may include 2 short stories and 1 poem, or 1 short story, 2 poems, or you may choose to include your nonfiction and include 1 short story, 1 poem, and 1 nonfiction. Here's the key thing. For each of these, you must introduce it, a preface, explain why you chose this piece, and why you included it within it, and what you thought was successful, along with other areas of improvement. So you're going to write a summary paragraph to introduce the piece as to why it's in your portfolio, both what it shows, what it demonstrates, but why you felt it was most important. And you're going to do that for each of the pieces that you include. However, and wherever they come from, you're going to have 3 different pieces, and you're going to preface each one of them with the information here. Okay. The second thing is that at the beginning of this course, I asked you to choose a novel. So I have your email stating what it was, the novel that you chose. You are going to summarize it, identify many of the elements of writing that the author uses within it, and examples, passages, quotes from the novel that are the most important part, and exemplify the writer's writing style. So I want you to pick out passages and then talk about the importance of those, but also the stylistic devices that the author uses, whether it be focusing on a character, whether it be focusing on setting, or the plot, the storyline altogether. So there's part number 2. Part number 3 is that you are going to choose something that you find important. In the poetry unit in particular, you are introduced to a number of different poets. You may choose to find someone in there that you would like to find another poem of, or you may choose a short story author. Maybe in grade 9 or 10, you did short stories. I know in grade 12, university level English, we do short stories again. You may choose to find a short story that was meaningful or purposeful or that you really enjoyed. Or even a nonfiction piece, so an editorial, something I know in one of my classes, we read about Angelina Jolie talking about the reason that she had a double mastectomy after her tests on the BRCA gene demonstrated that she was very likely to get cancer. And so she wrote about the experiences of going through that. You may find a piece like that. So in addition to your own pieces of writing, in addition to the novel and summarizing and explaining the elements that that author uses, you are going to find either a poem or a short story or a piece of nonfiction, and you're going to write a short paragraph as to why you chose that particular piece, what it means to you, why it's significant, what stylistic devices that author uses, and why they're impactful. So those are the things that you're going to include that are writing samples and are either introducing or summarizing the importance of those when you're looking at yourself as a writer. In addition to these 3 pieces, we're just going to scroll down here, you're going to also complete a final reflection using these as your prompts to guide. I don't know how long that reflection might be. It might be 1 paragraph. It might be a whole page. That's totally up to you. You can use one or all of these prompts. You may even go off script and use whatever it may be that will help you talk about the writing experience. So those are the 4 things that you will have in your portfolio. So on to the next part is not only choosing pieces to include and writing about them, but you also must decide how you're going to present it. So how are you going to submit it? There's some ideas down here. You could present them in a Google Doc that has many pages. Maybe you want to have a slideshow that has links. Some people like creating a web page or the style of a blog or a vlog. Whatever you would like to do, that you are welcome to do that. When I was looking at writers' portfolios, they often show a number of websites that people often use because you can have links or even multimedia. So you could have videos or you could have audio. I know for the poetry unit, many of you included reading of your piece, and the impact that that had was fantastic. So I'm just looking through some of these. You can choose a number of different formats, whatever works best for you. I know Wix is a website that many students use when they're creating their own free websites because they're just using it for a product. Maybe you want to create a different type of product that it allows you to be interactive. So again, after you've thought about how to include all of these pieces, the next part is how do I want to display that information? Okay, so these are the components that are going to go into your final culminating activity. There is no exam in this class. This is the finality of the course. This is the last week in which we want to work on this and put it together. The final deadline for this, just looking at the calendar. So the course officially ends on the 10th within the Hastings and Prince Edward District School Board. I'm giving you, I think until the 11th is when I've indicated that that's due. My report cards are due on the Monday. So it absolutely, that's the 11th is the cutoff point in which you can hand in the assignment to be evaluated for your final mark. As of the 11th, I will be entering final marks in, and there is no changing that. When my marks are due, I am not able to go back into the system and change it. So if you were to hand it in on Monday, I know that octomesters are not lining up from school board to school board. If you hand it in later than December 11th, I simply will not be able to evaluate it in time to establish marks. So if you could email me with any questions you have, further clarification. If there's anything that I can do to support you this week, please do so. The other thing that I want to make mention of is that, sorry about that. I thought I ran out of time. The other thing that I want to make mention of is that you still have time to hand in any missed assignments. So I have gone through and marked in zeros. There will be some other considerations as I go through. Some of us have had conversations about certain parts of the mark, and I will be going back through and evaluating those. So you can hand in late assignments. I will still evaluate those. I'm still working through unit number 2, which is the short story unit. It takes longer to evaluate than poetry. And hopefully by Tuesday, I will be done marking all of those so that we can look forward to marking the CCA and having final marks. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to message me.